All right, well, let's get started. It's 10:37. If you have any devices that make noise, please silence them. If you're making noise, please silence yourself. We're getting started. And Brian will be along momentarily. We'll get started with the invocation, which Amy Arbor will do, and then the pledge by John Hinkleman. If you wish to join, please rise.
This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. I thank you, dear Heavenly Father, for bringing us safely here, and ask that you go with us all and take us safely to wherever else we will go. Help us to make good decisions, right decisions, thoughtful decisions. We have such a responsibility, so many things to do. Lord, go with us, give us the time and the strength. And I thank you for taking care of our families and us. Please bless the United States of America and all the world. This I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
We thank you that beautiful prayer. Would you please recite the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you both. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bell.
Here.
Curran.
Here.
Freeling.
Present.
Harrison.
Here.
Hinkleman.
Here.
Majerick.
Here.
Ott.
He had to leave.
Okay. Pitchford. Ballraff.
Here.
Werfel. Here. Yarborough.
Present.
Elliott.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 10 present, 2 absent.
Thank you. Minutes from last week when we were in Three Oaks. Anyone want to move that? Moved by Harrison, supported by Freeling. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Madam Clerk, I understand we now have 3
Yes.
communications.
You received 3 communications. You received 2 resolutions from the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners. The first one honoring the fallen and thank the veterans and men and women currently serving in the armed forces for their sacrifice and service to our great nation from the time of Americans' birth and into the future, and are indebted to the American Heroes of Freedom, received on June 7th. The second resolution, they declared themselves a constitutional county, received on June 7th. You received a communication from the Berrien County MSU Extension and email on the Michigan State University Extension's upcoming events in Berrien County, received on June 1st. That's all for communications.
Thank you. Public comments now about resolutions, and that would include the added resolutions, which should show as 2306, not 2305 on the agenda, because it's now June, and the 06 part is June. So if you have anything to say about resolutions, this would be the time. All right, we'll move on then to the consent calendar. Haven't heard about pulling anything. There's a motion to approve the consent calendar, including the added resolution. Moved by Moore. Is there support? Support by Bell. Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Curran.
Yes.
Freeling. Harrison.
Yes.
Hinkleman.
Yes.
Majerick.
Yes.
Ballraff.
Yes.
Werfel.
Yes.
Yarborough.
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, you have 10 yeas.
thank you. Committee reports. We'll start, Madam Chair, Finance with you, and we're glad you made it back across the pond.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you so
Good
much.
to see you.
Glad you made it back.
Yes, me too. Sorry, we were not able to connect for dinner when I was over there.
Yeah.
Next time.
Thank you. I'm pleased to make this report. We accepted our minutes from May 25th. And we have a resolution that we're going to bring to you next week, June 15th, for your approval. And it's from Michigan Department of Transportation has awarded a capital grant for 2017 to the numbers 2017-0021/P4 to Berrien County in the amount of $62,500 to purchase bus security cameras. And so what happens, it's going to be, we have 18 buses through Berrien Bus, and 3 cameras will be installed in each bus, one in the front, one in the back, and one, I think, in the center. And it's not going to cost Berrien County nor Berrien Bus anything. These are cameras that are being used, and the buses have been in some for quite some time. It will help with if there should be a discussion or knowing that someone may have been left on the bus just for security. And then 2, should there be a collision or anything that happens outside, these incidents will be recorded. And so we're asking next week that you approve and accept this money to be able to outfit the buses. That's our report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for finance? All right, let's see who's next. Mr. Chair of PHS.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met this morning and considered a number of issues. We approved resolutions for Commissioner per diems for May, the acceptance of a grant from the Berrien Community Foundation for $1,500. This is for beach wheelchair. I'd like to note that I am the treasurer of the Community Foundation. We also talked with the Health Department regarding an advanced step hire, which we approved. This is for bringing a very qualified nurse to do home visits through the department. We met with the representatives of the Sheriff's Department, looked at complement change for the Emergency Operations Center. This is an accountant to do grant management, and we did approve that. Then we have 4 different resolutions that will come to you next meeting. The emerging threats, we've got 2 contracts with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. One is our master contract. So we did review that. That was recommended to us by the health board. We've got, that's a little over $3.3 million. We have the emerging threats grant. That's for $1.5 million. Both of those would start October 1. And we had a complement change for medical social work, converting that to a public health. It's a vacant position now to a public health social worker, and changing it from part-time to full-time. They have sufficient dollars within their operational budget to fund that. And then the last resolution that will come to you next week was the creation of the opioid settlement task force. We have Commissioners Werfel and Freeling both serving on that on behalf of the board. And that would conclude my report.
Thank you. Any questions for PHS? All right, Mr. Chair of Admin.
Thank you, Mac. First in to see us this morning was Captain Rocky Adams. Talked to us about a new position, a senior accountant. Then he came up to personnel and talked to them. We gave our concurrence for that position. Next in to see us was our animal control director, Ashley Herr. And with the chair's permission, I asked Ashley if she would be willing to report out. This is the results of the consultant that we hired, Kristen, with outcomes for animals. And I think it was such a positive experience that I wanted Ashley to be able to address the board and give the highlights. And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask Ashley, if that's okay with the chair.
Sure.
Very
Let's get
good.
you near a microphone so the World Wide Web can hear you as well.
Mr. Chair, before Ashley starts, the presentation that she's going to reference, admin received it. The admin asked for you all to get it. It's been emailed out to the full board. Please go ahead.
Go ahead, Ashley. Morning.
So basically, we had Kristen come to visit us at the shelter for 4 days. It was during Valentine's Day week in February. Some of the things that she really liked was the dedication from our staff to make sure all the animals were cared for at a very high standard of care. She liked that Brian was so active and you guys are so active in our department to make sure that, you know, we're getting what we need to be successful as a department. She also really enjoyed how positive our community engagement is and how well we're received by our community because we are helping them out as much as we can. And one big thing that she did hit home consistently was that even though we are short-staffed and it's almost a consistent issue throughout the year, is that we make sure that we stay the extra time to make sure that the animals are getting everything they need from food, water, cleaning, bedding, extra medicine, anything that they need, that they're getting all that care. Things that she would like us to change that she did highlight throughout her presentation was that our staffing, it needs some love. She thinks that we are lower staffed than any shelter she's really come in contact with. Usually shelters are overstaffed. She realized that we have a need to grow our staff very much so. And she would also like us to step away from the format of a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday houring system, where she thinks that us being open in the evenings and on the weekends would be more of a better motivator for people to come in and adopt from us and take animals out of our shelter, because people are at work from 9 to 5 versus coming in the evenings when they have free time, their kids are out of school, and they have a little bit more of leeway to be able to say, hey, let's go to the animal shelter and see what they have, because we're wanting to add in a cat, a dog, you know, a given pet to the family. In her regards to staffing, what she had recommended is that we transition 2 to 4 of our part-time kennel staff to full-time animal care leads. And then she also recommended that we add in 2 full-time outreach and outcomes supervisor positions, essentially, to help us make sure that we are communicating with the public. Hey, we have these animals available. Let's talk. If you're looking for anything in particular, I know a big thing that we have is that people like guard dogs, or they like family pets because they have a new baby on the way. Having people be able to sit down and have those really meaningful conversations to make good adoptions happen is something she recommended. And then just the amount of animals that we get coming and going from the shelter, having those full-time positions would help with us being able to actually not have to stay late. It would eliminate overtime and things like that, which is something that we'll just keep up as a conversation moving forward. She also recommended a different approach to animals being impounded for court cases, so such as animal neglect, cruelty, dog fighting, those sorts of things that are going on. She recommended trying to just go at it a different way, so we're not filling up our shelter, because at one point in time, all 30 kennels in our isolation ward were completely court case animals, which caused us to have to put new kennels in our Sallyport or garage area to be able to accommodate for just general strays and general problem animals that were coming in that weren't having the legal cases going on around them. She also recommended that we do retrofit our permanent kennels. So in our adoption floor and our isolation area, we're running into some issues where the doors are set away from the actual brick wall about 2 to 3 inches. So dogs are able to put their paws, their tails, their noses through there. And if they're next to an unfriendly dog that doesn't like other dogs, they're getting bites. We're having issues coming up to where toenails are getting ripped off, tails are getting severely injured or bit, to where, you know, we've had a dog actually lose a chunk of their tail because their tail got in with the wrong dog. So these are just issues that we've been going through. We're working on trying to find solutions for it. So that's something that we will probably be talking to you guys about in the future. And then just some other important takeaways that she had mentioned to us is that our owner surrenders and our intakes overall, our statistics, since we're experiencing an increase of these intakes, is because it's just national standard right now, is everyone's experiencing more stray animals, more owner surrenders, because people can't afford their pets. So our intake, even though we did see a big intake when we separated from the sheriff's, when the officers went with the sheriff's department, we all separated, it's not completely out of the water huge. It's still going along with national standards. And then she also wanted to highlight in her report that even though the amount of animals coming into the shelter is increasing, our euthanasia rates are continuously going down. So we're still doing life-saving measures. We're still doing positive outcomes for 90% of the animals coming into our building, which We successfully have reached 90% with our cats, so that's exciting. Officially, no kill in that aspect. And then we're already making changes that she had recommended, such as different advertising strategies, different movement flow through our shelter. We're adjusting how long animals are staying, what's becoming available quicker, and we're just kind of networking with other partners that she connected us with to get more animals out faster. So.
Great. Thank you, Ashley. Are there any questions for Ashley? Yes.
Mr. Chair, to the board, one of the things that I watched through this effort was an active engagement of the prosecutor's office, of the public defender's office, of the court management, in an effort to try and reduce the number of hold days that dogs are sitting under Ashley's watch. Ashley, through that effort, have you seen improvement? Is the hold time going down?
Absolutely. So we had dogs that had come in last August, so they were coming up on their 1-year mark, and they were able to get those dogs expedited out in the last month. So some of them some of them were adopted out. We've been able to get a lot of these dogs moving a lot quicker because of that joint effort. So they've really improved our hold time on all the animals that are coming in for legal reasons.
Great. If I may highlight a couple of things, I think we need to give a shout out to Brian and to Thaddeus for working with the court and the prosecutor's office to reduce the amount of time that those animals were staying in the shelter. Because she made it quite clear that puts a real burden and cost on the shelter by having to keep all those animals. So I think that's great that Brian and Thaddeus was able to negotiate some good things for us. The other thing I wanted the whole board to hear, and if you have any questions on staffing, probably going to see something in the way of FTEs out there that are well needed. And I'm not sure if you said it, but the renaming or rebranding, that I want everybody to be aware that they're going to start working on that so that our animal control shelter will eventually have a different name and different purpose. And just to reiterate again, I think that the decision being made to keep the shelter and the enforcement split those two functions was really the right thing to do. It's worked out very well. And when you get the slide, you're gonna see a picture of the sheriff holding the cat. So sheriff, he's really gotten into the animal control portion of law enforcement. So I think that's great. So thank you very much for being here, Ashley. And I think that that's been a very positive experience working with her and coming up with a lot of the best practices and things that other shelters are doing. So thank you very much for being here. And thank you for allowing me to have her do that as part of my committee report.
Thank you.
After Ashley was in, we had Mark from the road department, and Julie would like to report out on that.
I'll be quick because I think admin's taking a lot of agenda time. On the road department, Mark reported out on the Hill Road Bridge. I believe that's up in Waterville. John, in your area, they are currently putting that bridge into place. So it should be 2 or 3 more weeks, and that road should be all reopened and going. Sawyer Road improvements, we got an update on that. They just did a major improvement between the railroad tracks and Flynn Road, which is basically downtown Sawyer. And phase 2 is coming up later this summer, and that's the railroad to the overpass, so the other direction. But Alex, already knows about all that. He also gave us an update on gravel roads. Part of it on the dust and the gravel roads, part of it is contracted out every year. And the contractor has said there's just not enough moisture in the ground. They've tried everything, and they are actually backing off doing any of that now until we get some rain that can get absorbed into that gravel in those roads. The smaller roads we do, but we've got the same issue. So there's got to be moisture in those roads. One of the things we talked about was perhaps they need to make sure this is on an earlier part when we know there's more rain in the spring, and get those roads taken care of, because it does last most of the summer, if not all of it. That pretty much was his update.
Great, thank you, Julie. We only have one resolution that'll come before you at our next meeting, and this is to apply. It's for a snowmobile grant. It's in the amount of $6,248. This is to be reimbursed at 85% the Department of Natural Resources required a county match of 15%, which is $937. This is for October 1 of 2023 through September 30th of 2024. And the $937 will come out of the public safety millage. And that is our report.
Sorry, do you want to do that one that I?
Okay, we do have another one. This is to apply. It's the trial court to apply for a Title IX-D cooperative reimbursement grant. Let's see, it's in the amount of 16 million. Wow. $16,098,605 from the Department of Health and Human Services. And that is a resolution ending in 241.
Is it a 9D or a 4D?
It is a 4D.
4D.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
Okay, that's my report.
Any questions for admin? All right, commissioner reports going clockwise.
A report, rain for rain.
I attended the Juvenile Justice State Committee meeting, and they did a site visit to the local police departments here in Berrien County. I believe it was Ben Harbor, Ben Charter Township, and Lincoln Charter Township. And they like what they see as far as how our police departments deal with juveniles, but there, of course, is more room for improvement. There were a few code compliance things that they noticed as far as officers handcuffing juveniles to certain structures, and that is against some of the things that we're trying to do with improving juvenile justice. So they were notified about that, and there are plans to fix that within the police departments. But otherwise, they noticed that Berrien County is spending the grant money given from the state quite well. So kudos to our CCAB and also our juvenile facility for doing that. And also, I just want to announce that Present Pillars, a local nonprofit in our community, is putting on a week-long celebration of dads leading up to Father's Day, which will begin next Monday. And I just emailed all the commissioners a flyer for that celebration. And everyone is welcome, moms and dads. But this week is a special recognition for dads. Any questions, you can email James Gunter, who's the director at jgunter@presentpillars.com. And that's my report.
I attended the Human Services Council. That's chaired by Guy Miller, our Director of the Health Department, and also the Board of Health. And also attended a meeting of the Executive Committee. And I did field a number of calls regarding dust control on dirt roads.
Yeah, I also pray for rain, but I have no report other than that.
I have no report.
No report.
I attended MAC Ag and Tourism meeting. We finished the platform for that. I think we're done for the summer, although I think there was a question about that as well. I also forwarded some information this week from the Newaygo MSU person that gave a little bit more detail. So on the solar issues that we heard about a few weeks ago. Lastly, I attended the Niles Chamber meeting yesterday and got to meet Megatron, who I have to readily admit I didn't know who he was. And but it was really cool because I felt really small next to these huge football players, and they were really, really nice. But most importantly, do you know who Megatron is? I know there were people there going, "It's Megatron, it's Megatron," and I'm like,
Yes.
"What's a Megatron?" And I'm like, "Was he from Michigan?" The other player, I'm not going to mention his name, but he was from that school down south, so we won't talk about that, but he was a nice guy also. But most importantly, one of our commissioners is a celebrity in Niles that I didn't know about, and that's Commissioner Harrison. He has an award named after him down there. And so that was really cool, actually. So that's my report.
No report.
Brian, do you have anything?
No, sir.
All right, we'll go to general public comments. Anything under the sun in 2 minutes or less, name and town, name and town.
Michael Haskins, Pipestone Township. Each of you has before you a mailing from the US Postal Service about dog attacks on letter carriers. I would like to remind the commissioners that it's not just dogs, it's utility workers, anyone using the public right of way, first responders as well. If you are dog owners or no dog owners, remind them their animals are a responsibility. Michigan law requires them to be under control and not running loose. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Yes, sir.
Pelter, Hager Township. Now, on that 2 weeks ago, remember, I got a bottle of water from somebody down at the end. Now, I thought the county paid for it. Well, I was partially right. I returned the bottle. The lady wasn't there, and I asked the lady there, where'd that water come from? She said, her boss, the drain commissioner, buys them the water. Now, let me talk about that thing over there you call the fountain. I suggest somebody go down to the South Shore Racket Club where they have a fountain where you can fill their bottle of water. Got a filter on it. That water sucks, I'm telling you. Come out of St. Joe, I don't know how much my toilet smelled about like that when I put one of those balls in there. They got too much in there. I almost want to puke when I try to drink it out of a fountain or out of a faucet. And those people down there, they don't seem to realize it. Everybody's got a filter, right? But anyway, you go down there and see what they got. I suggest you put one in there and one up there so the county employees can fill their water bottles. Somebody like me, bring a bottle in here, I can fill it up there too. Now, what's the big deal? Take that $1,000 you take from me, put 500 in there and 500 in there. This is a public building. And you don't even have any decent water there. I went to school there, that fountain down there, I used to drink out of that one. About enough water comes out of there, just like this one here. So I suggest to the people walking in here, get a decent fountain. Put a filter on it. And then also the water, let them fill up their water, their bottles. That's what you do out the
2 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Peltzer.
Good.
Anyone else wish to be heard? Okay, we'll go to other business. Does anyone have any? We talked last time or the time before that we needed to put together that public safety committee to review millages and so forth. Should be an ad hoc public safety committee. So I'll have Jim chair that, and Julie and Ray will be the other commissioners on it. We'll also contemplate assigning staff, Thaddeus, Dan, Fetty, Doug, Financial Services, Warren downstairs. I would expect all would need to be part of the working group on this. The sheriff or his designee, the prosecutor or his designee. And I think that should round it out. If we need to make any adjustments, we can. Okay, that's effective today. BC, that's the only other business I have. Anyone else have any?
Brownsfield is at 12:30.
Okay, BC Bits at 12:30. And then we're already doing reminders that we're not meeting on the 29th. because it's the fifth Thursday. We're not meeting on the sixth because it's close to the 4th of July. And we're having a night meeting at the MSU Extension out on Hillendale Road on the 13th of July. So we're marching along. Anyone have anything else?